This video is about the Rosengrens RKL 10 safe lock. So this lock has been used for a number of years, and if you haven't got a key for it, or the lock is a bit sticky, doesn't take a programming well, then you might need to strip it down. So this is a mechanical lock, and the keys can be programmed to it. So there's no need to change your lock, you just get a new set of keys and mechanically program them. So I'm just going to show you how you take this apart and put it back together. A few tools we might need is some tweezers, small screwdriver to release case cap screws. I have a builder's key, but you could quite easily just use a normal set of Rosengrens bits. So I'm going to show you how to assemble it. That's a Rosengrens bit. They've got angle cuts on them. So I can also pick these locks open, but they're not an easy lock to pick open. As you will see when we start taking it apart how complicated they are. Okay, so first I'm going to take the bolt off the back. Bits there. Flip it over, take the two case cap screws off. As such, this is your first look inside. Basically we take that off. You can see there's a set of cogs there to transfer across. Okay. So I'm just going to strip it down. Into its components. Now you can actually, if you're taking this far, you can actually leave this part assembled. I'm going to take the whole thing apart just so you can see how it goes. Try and keep them in some sort of order aside. So 2 springs, 3 of them things. And pins together. Put them in some sort of order. Okay, so that's all the components. So we've got these things. Okay. So if you notice these have got what are called C sort of shape to them. It's different on each side. So that one's pointing outwards, that side points inwards. So when you stack these, they have to be stacked like for like. So if that's pointing inwards, this one also has to point inwards. Okay, so that's how they're stacked. And then the next one will be pointing outwards, outwards, outwards. Like so. If we stack them the wrong way, then they sit too close together. So the gap is a lot smaller. Okay, so we're stacking the right way. So to start, we've got 3 of these things. We have a fence. Got 2 of these little cog things. These are the top and bottom cog for the key. We've got 2 springs, bit that throws the bolt backwards and forwards, and this little foot. These are the code wheels. This is actually what's got the gates in them. You probably won't see it, but that's the actual gate. It's got false gates before and after. Okay, so it's code wheels. There are versions of these where these cogs are different. Some of the early versions or some on the Volts, these cogs are slightly different, but assembly is the same. We've got the fence drivers, there's 2 of them. Them things that we talked about. Got a curtain, or barrel, whatever you want to call it. Change part. And then you've got like a transfer cog, this is where the key touches it. So on this particular lock, the key either touches the one side or the other side. So when you put the key in, one side of the key will either touch there or the second side of the key touches there. That's what gives it its code. So in these locks there's actually 8 possible cuts, 4 on each side. Okay, I think it's covered most things. So now we're going to start assembling the lock. So we need the fence. And that. Okay, so yeah, this is just the way that I assemble them, the way I was shown. So we put them through that way, so small bits at the top. Okay, the smaller wide layer, that's wide, and that's in there at the top. Goes in like that, and then we start in these discs in their place. So we want that slot to marry up with that slot. Okay, we've got some pins here as well of different lengths. So there's 4 pins the same length, one slightly shorter, the same thickness, a little baby one, and this is the thicker one. The thicker one will start going into the middle. So we do that, we put another one of them on without dropping the pin. Okay, so you've got to try and build this up as we go. Another one of them. These have got proper names. Don't ask me what they are. Okay, we just start stacking them like that. So we do that all the way up. So you can give this a wipe down if you want, as you're dismantled it. Just wipe down the parts just to make them cleaner. This one's not that bad actually, clean wise. So I'll probably strip this one down before. Let's push that for a minute. Okay, so that's pretty much what we've done so far. Okay, we're stacked on that. Now we need to take one of these and same thing, we stack it in the same way so that a hole is over on that side, so line up. Okay, so stack like that. Going to do that for both sides. Let's turn it around. Stick the other one on there. So again, that slot goes to that slot. Push that through. Okay. And then what we're going to do, we're going to grab that case cap and grab that plastic piece. Okay, so we want this. This is a concentric bolt, so as you turn it, that pretty much goes on the left, on the right. So we want that on the right. Okay, we're going to take this pack like such. Make sure that is on the right hand side and push it in to there. Okay, so that's our first bit. And then trying to remember myself. It goes like that, I believe. There we go. Then we take two of these. So it's got a little pip on the side. So that pip goes on the outside. So it's on that side there. Stack two of them together. And then take this driver part. That goes on like that. So there's just like two pins on the back. And that goes on. Just quick look at my notes as well because I can't remember off the top of my head. And then we've got these plastic things. So there's two of these. Now these are actually tapered. So that's the narrow side and that's the longer side. So what happens is when this comes on top, the tapered side, the narrow side is at the end of that. So imagine that goes on top of the lock. So we want our tapered side, the small side, to come up the top. And we place that between the very bottom's back and there. So we've got a brass piece just underneath and a brass piece just on top. We do the same for the other side. So our narrow bits at the top. Okay, just done that part. Then place this on top. Screw that up. So there's a little, on the back there's like a little nib that has to go through that gap. Like such. And then we take the bolt thrower, which is that. Take this case cap, rear case cap. That screws on. Okay, so the RKL 10 can come with different bolt heads as well, different shapes. Okay, so now we take that and turn it over. Remove the case. And take this last brass bit. So remember, it's got a pip on it, that pip is pointing that way. Okay. Okay, now we need to replace these two springs. So this spring goes at the bottom. See if I can grab that. So the very first brass cap at the bottom, okay, we want to line the eye of the spring up with that hole. Okay, we get the second spring. We do the same. That goes underneath the first brass piece. We line that hole up. Okay, so them two springs are in there. And then the one pin which is shorter, that goes in this hole. Hopefully all them springs are lined up, goes all the way to the bottom. Now they're held in place. Okay. And then we take this piece, little foot, goes in that way round. So basically that little hook there is going to slide into this, but we put in at a slight angle at the very bottom. Hopefully it will fit in there. It's tricky to do and hold everything. Here. So then that's slid in. Okay, so later we're going to have to make sure that that is lined up on the bottom. Okay, so that's where we're at the moment. So we've got the two springs there, they're held on with that pin. Okay. Take two of these pins. I just got to check my notes every now and again because it's one of the things you do rarely, but okay, make sure both of them springs are out the way. Okay, so all the way in the bottom, push them springs back. And now we turn the cam. Let's try and hold all that together, nothing falls out. So that cam on the back, you're going to turn it so that little pip is pointing towards the square. Okay. And so we can use a key for that. Okay. There we go. So what that's actually done is it's moved that entire pack over that way, shifted it. Okay, now we're going to start loading these up. First we have to put one of these parts in. So let's just have a look. Okay, so we've got wider bit and the narrow bit. So when it goes into the lock, that's the way it's going to go in. So we want that part on this driver to sit where that piece of casting is. So let me put that in. Goes all the way to the bottom underneath that first spring. Okay, so that's roughly what we've got. And then we take these. So remember I said that these got little C parts on them. Okay, so the way that I'm going to stack them is, I'm going to have the first one, them C bits, pointing towards the middle of the case. Okay, and then that goes in the lock. So this one goes underneath that first spring. So put that in at an angle if we can. Without it getting in the way. There we go. Okay, so the first one is underneath that spring. And then we've got these driver wheels. So these have got a raised part, that raised bit points down. And then we want that to go in like that. So that now that ledge is going to line up with the one underneath. So let's put that in. Try and get it in there. Leave it that way, let me just check. Oh yeah. Yep, that is right. So the narrow bits at the top. And that we had it. Let's get the spring out of the way again. It's tricky to get these things all together. Okay. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. So if you look, you got that narrow section at the top and the wide one at the bottom. So we want that ledge to line up the piece underneath and that bit of casting. Okay. Now if you remember, the one underneath, we stacked these raised bits inwards like that. So now when we stack this, we want to match that like for like. So they were in, so now we want to put it that way down. So now they're pointing out, because we want them to stack the opposite. This one goes on top of that first spring. Okay, and then we stack the other washer again, like we just did. Get it all in there. Can be a bit tricky. Okay, so the next one, so now we're going to stack it the opposite way around, because that one is now wide and wide, so we want that wide bit on the outside. So we're matching, whatever the bottom one is, we're matching it in the opposite way around. Okay, put another one of them in. Can be a bit fiddly. Get you in. There we go. So just making sure they're still lined as we go. Put another one of these things in. I think they call these isolators. So now the one underneath is fitted like this, pointing inwards. So what we need to do is we need to do the mirror image of it now. So we're pointing outwards. So basically they're just stacking in the reverse of whatever the one underneath is. Yeah, let's get another one of them in. There we go. Another isolator. Oh, if I put it the right way around. Another isolator. Down, 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 down. Another one of them. So what we're doing is we're assembling this, so it's basically been assembled in the change key mode. So when we put it back together, we'll be able to program a key into it. I need to put a washer and oil done too quickly. And there's an isolator. Yeah, it's all lined up. Down. So we're still going under this spring at the moment. Okay. Okay, and now we need another oscillator. Still going underneath the spring. Okay, now the last isolator, last bit of brass. So we're going to match it just that way. This one goes on top of that spring to make sure that spring's back. Goes on top, and then that one sits on like that. So we've got that wide gap again, lining up. Okay, and then when we put this in, so that, put these in first. So we're putting them in. So the spring is this side of them pegs at the minute. Put this one in the bottom. Now, do you remember there was that little foot at the bottom? Sometimes that slips out the way, so we're going to put something down the end there. Just make sure it's pushed back. And that'll go all the way down the bottom, like so. And then we've got this little roll pin. Okay, so now what happens is, just to give you an idea, the spring is on that one, comes around that part there, it's hanging down here in between a cog and this pin, and what we're going to do is we're going to push them springs back and push that little roll pin into there. Okay, because at the moment the spring is sitting like this, so we want our roll pin on the bottom of that spring. Okay, so just put that in there. Make sure the bottom one is back as all. Tricky to do. The bottom one has come back a bit more. There we go, and that's down. So it's just literally just sits ever so proud. See that black bin? Sitting ever so proud. Okay, they're all back. Okay, so that one doesn't get a pin. It's that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. But that's the shorter pin, if you remember. And then we've got this. So if we look at this curtain or barrel, whatever you want to call it, that's the short side. That's the long side, so that cut is a lot longer on that side. So that goes in that way. Okay, so that's what we've got. We've put that back together in the change key mode. We put a case cap on. Okay, and that should all fit nice and flush. If it's not fitting flush, you've done something wrong. It's all done up tight. Okay, so now this is assembled with the bolt back and in the change key mode. So that little pip on the square says it's in change key mode. So if we put this key in, which is just a builder's key, line them up a bit. Okay, so now that will turn, so it won't do anything to the bolt. So what we do is we put it in, and we turn there till it comes to a stop. Okay, now that's on a stop. Now we take the other key, so this is a builder's key, but if you're going to program a working key to it, this is what they look like. Okay, so these are not made anymore, but I have a lot of these still. Okay, so with a key, so that's turned fully to the right, or clockwise. We go to the bottom, we stick a key in because that's the shape of it. We turn that pip from the square all the way around to the circle. Now when we lock this, it should take the code. If it hasn't, then you need to strip the lock back down and do it. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to just program one of them keys in. So you would say this was a safe or whatever. You put the key in, turn it till it's open all the way. Put the key in there, you turn it back to the square. Now this key can come out. Okay. These keys actually unscrew. Screw that. Okay, and come out. Put on our key we want to use. Goes in there. Don't want to put it on the wrong way where that overhangs. Put it so it's flush. Okay, let me screw the key back together. Okay. These keys only came one way, so I was trying to put it in the wrong way. Go in the lock, put it in that way. Now what we do is we turn there till it comes to a stop. I'll do that just a couple of times. Turn there till it comes to a full stop. Then you put another key in, so you've already got the second key or whatever key you program in. We turn that back to the circle. Now when we lock it, that should be programmed. There we go. That's how you program, rebuild and program a Rosengrens RKL lock. So quite a decent lock for its time. I say it's a shame that they're no longer making them. But our key elements, we can pick these open. So I can pick these locks open up to 1/2 metre thick. Got 1/2 metre long keys, so really thick vault doors. Still quite a lot of them out there. They're not making these keys anymore, but as I say, I've got quite a lot of them because I got all the old stock when they were getting rid of them. Any questions, please post in the comments. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.